I'm Lori Ropa. I'm the Executive Director of the ARC Jefferson, Clear Creek, and Gilpin counties.
My name is Brent Palayo. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator.
Welcome to the 2021 Summit of Hope.
Welcome.
"60 years ago, life was very different. Parents were told when they had a child with a disability that child would be better off institutionalized than living at home with their parents. Today, things are very different. Kids go home with their families and grow up with their siblings, and the ARC has been a huge part of the reason for that change.
Everyone's journey is different.
There are twists and turns, sometimes even breakdowns. And the ARC is there along all of those twists and turns, and especially during the breakdowns. Sometimes people lose hope along their journey.
The ARC restores hope.
You know who else is on a journey?
Our street team.
That's right, and they're on a journey to change community perceptions. Let's watch.
We are the street team. We're talking with people to break down stereotypes about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD. And there are lots of stereotypes about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. What do you think some of those are?
One stereotype that I think is out there is that people with an intellectual disability can't do the same things as other people can, when I think they are perfectly capable of doing those things, like driving or having a job.
Doing what I'm doing right now.
And doing an interview, absolutely.
Yes. And this has been my dream job for quite a long time.
That's awesome.
Did you know that companies benefit from employing people with developmental disabilities?
Yes and no, but I'm very interested to learn more about it.
And so it's reliably, definitely getting along with co-workers, loyalty to the company, higher productivity.
Really? That's amazing.
When you meet a person with IDD, do you talk to them differently than you would someone else?
Well, no, I don't. I guess because of my sister-in-law, a lot of people, what they do with her is they talk really loud, and that's annoying to her.
Yes, I know that because when I go out to dinner, they don't ask me the question, they ask my friends or my wife. I always appreciate when people talk to me like they would do anyone else.
Of course you do.
Hi everyone, and welcome again. I'm so glad you could be with us for this year's reinvention of the Summit of Hope. Like last year, we're all together virtually, but in addition to that, many of you are also joining us from watch parties being hosted by some of the ARC's very best friends. However you came to be with us today, we're glad you're here. You know, the street team became a new fan favorite after their debut at last year's Summit of Hope, and you can easily see why.
Taking it to the streets. Taking it to the streets.
This group of talented interviewers moves around the community, connecting personally with people and completely busting stereotypes. This critical work is a journey unto itself, both for our street team members and the people they meet. We know that when people can move past their preconceptions, only then can they begin to see what's possible. And the ability to see what's possible is what will move our entire community forward, transforming it into a place of opportunity for all of us. As Brent and I said earlier, journeys are as individual as the people taking them. I'd like you to meet the Murrow family. The transformative journey for new mom Wayla and her husband Sid began a little more than 20 years ago with the birth of their beautiful daughter Cinda. The ARC traveled this winding road with the Murrows for many years, giving them the information, confidence, and support that empowered them to make the best possible decisions for their daughter. Let's listen.
And then this is Fluff. She loves to be on camera all the time.
So we found out about her disabilities pretty gradually. It was just that she didn't start walking. She didn't really start talking. And so when she had genetic testing, that's when we realized probably that her disability was going to be a lifelong disability. Chromosomal irregularity, chromosome number 18. They didn't have any idea of what we could really expect for her in her life. Makes you really start that grieving the child that you had hoped for. You start trying to search to find the cure. When Cinda was a toddler, she was in early intervention, and through that program, they gave us a flyer that told us about mobilizing families, which was put on through the ARC. They had dinner, they had childcare for the children, so that was really helpful for me as a mom. Then I just learned so much. The feeling of knowing that you're just not alone. And also learning that it's okay to be sad. The lessons that I learned from the ARC really helped me with learning about that grieving cycle, with learning about how cyclical it is and how things can just trigger you.
There's one thing I love about myself is I was born on Valentine's Day. And my favorite thing to do is celebrate.
So even though I was a pretty good advocate, when it came to my own experience with Cinda, especially in her school meetings, I would get triggered and I would get upset. And so I contacted the ARC for educational advocacy and was able to have an advocate that really helped me to, first of all, be calm during the meetings. She also had relationships with the school district that I didn't necessarily have, so she could give me some insight into how to best communicate with them.
School is really hard. I had teachers who helped me, but by the time I was in high school, I learned how to ask for what I needed.
Even when she was in high school and then moving into that transition age, the ARC partnered with the school district to have transition trainings at that time as well. And so all of those things that I was able to participate in was very, very helpful.
I'm good with technology with my phone, and I use a device if I need help talking.
She's able to communicate with her friends. She's been able, during the pandemic, to participate in Zoom meetings, and so that's been really helpful for her.
I also love being with my friends and doing all kinds of activities. And actually, I'm going to use this on this part.
Activities.
Yep.
She learned how to use public transportation, which was excellent.
My biggest challenge was transportation and not being able to go where I want to go. When I wanted to go, I learned how to ride a bus, and I also learned how to do Uber and Lyft.
Probably one of her greatest accomplishments was getting a job.
I worked at Walgreens for almost 6 years. It's a fun job, and I work as a cashier. I love talking with my coworkers and customers, and I like helping the customers too.
Someone had told me when she was in middle school that she would be a cashier at Walgreens. I'm like, wait, don't you have to count money? Don't you have to be able to talk to the customers? But she does all of that. For right now, We feel like things are going fairly smoothly. She's happy. Things seem stable for us. When I look back, there are some things I could never have imagined that she would be doing. And so now looking forward, I think that's probably the same.
I like my life as it is right now, but one of these days I do want to try to move out and live on my own or with a roommate and try to get more independent.
So I'm excited for that, and I think that she'll be successful and she'll do very well.
I think that art helps people, and I like that.
For the Murrow family, the Ark was a frequent and valuable lifeline while their daughter was growing up. Cinda has already achieved a tremendous amount of independence that even her parents couldn't have imagined when she was young. She is now a confident young woman with her own aspirations and dreams, and she's embarking on her own journey to independence, with the Ark by her side. Thank you, Wayla and Cinda, for sharing with us today. Your story is an inspiration to many families. Our next video is about hope, and while you may think that sounds cliche, it's literally the story of an extraordinary woman named Hope. Hope's journey began with years of struggle and confusion, and even as an adult, her life was so tightly controlled that she rarely had the freedom to make decisions for herself. For a long time, there was no end in sight. Hope could see no chance of things ever changing until a caring nurse and social worker told her they could.
When I was growing up, the rules my mom placed on me, there weren't really any until around the age 13. She stopped letting me hang out with my friends. She wouldn't let me go to the park or to my friend's house, or she wouldn't even let me go in my backyard anymore. So when I turned 18, my mom became my guardian. I wasn't allowed to go to doctor's appointments by myself. I was told I had to take certain medications. I wasn't allowed to have my ID, wasn't allowed to go to therapy. Everybody started telling me that I didn't have any rights. I was really scared and confused because I thought everybody had rights. My mom always described it as protecting and always being told that people would take advantage of me because of my disabilities and my mental illness. I was terrified to talk to anybody. Every time somebody would ask me what was wrong because they knew something was wrong, I would just say nothing. I watched a lot of TV and I read a lot. Grey's Anatomy got me through a lot. In April of 2018, I met a nurse who I told her about what was happening, and she said that if I don't want a guardian, that I can fill out a paper that says I don't want a guardian. And then I told her that's what I wanted to do, and I was really scared about how my mom was going to react when she found out. I didn't know that what was happening was wrong for the longest time. Somebody at the county, Jefferson County, said, "Hey, I know this organization called the ARC that helps people in your case." And then I met Bree in May.
Our journey really began with informing her about what her rights were. She found herself in a guardianship that was no longer appropriate and probably wasn't appropriate in the first place.
So to have somebody saying, no, I'm on your side and I'm here for you and listening to me, it was great to have someone on my side. Bree took care of a lot of the paperwork.
And I filed an addendum to that petition to the court, citing all the information that I received from Hope and some of the other people in her life, why that guardianship was no longer appropriate. Really, the job of a guardian is to listen to their person and hear what it is they want and help make decisions alongside them.
We had to go to court a lot. I had to talk to lawyers. My mom was at the hearing too, so that was really hard. My brother was there. All of a sudden, they wanted me to testify to why I didn't want a guardian anymore. They held my mom in contempt because she kept interrupting everybody. She wouldn't give them my ID, like they asked for her to give them my ID and my birth certificate because they're mine and not hers. And she refused. They took her away in handcuffs right in the middle of court. They decided that obviously she was not fit to be my guardian after that.
Our role as advocates often is to educate people who are experts in their field about disability and the systems involved in the IDD community. Educating her lawyer and the guardian ad litem so that they felt confident that once the guardianship was no longer in place, that Hope was going to do just fine. And not only was she going to do just fine, she was going to thrive.
When I was told that I finally had my rights back, it was a little bit of a battle because then we had to send all the hospitals and all the places. The termination of my mom's guardianship, they still thought she was my guardian.
We worked really hard together and tirelessly to get the funding approved so that we could get Hope in a safe place and find housing, and then work towards getting all the services that works for Hope.
I have Bree and I have my clinician, and they're both great. It feels really good to have friends, it feels great. And I have a job, my first ever job. So I have money and I can pay my own bills, and yeah, that's pretty great too. So I have my own bank account now. I have a savings account. I have my own debit card. I can choose what medication I take. I really hope that one day I can live in my own apartment and have my own car. I feel like I have my freedom now.
That's what the ARC does best, is put people first.
There is hope, and that you can trust these people, and that it's gonna be okay.
Hope was able to gain freedom from mistreatment and abuse, something many people never achieve. Until then, her journey had been incredibly difficult, overwhelming, and lonely. The ARC's advocate Brianna was kind and persistent and continually assured Hope that she was there to help. It was exactly what Hope needed to find the courage to trust us. She allowed the ARC in, and that made it possible for her to see that things could really be different. Hope is now safe and happy and has a job and friends and the freedom to live her own life. And as you've heard, she imagines an incredibly bright future for herself. We're excited to see where her journey takes her next, and will continue to support her independence in any way she'd like us to. Thank you, Hope, for sharing your transformative journey with us. You know, throughout this program, we've been talking a lot about achieving independence. But since each journey is different and each person is different, I wanted to share that independence can look very different too. There is no one-size-fits-all, is there? Having a say in your own life is at the core of independence. It may mean anything from deciding to engage in the activities that you like instead of having them selected for you, to deciding to learn to cook so you don't have to eat whatever's put in front of you. Some people will want to live on their own in their own apartment, and others will want to live with family or friends. Either is their chosen independent path. It may mean using a communication device so that others can truly hear what you have to say. Or it may mean using an accessible online gaming controller so you can play Minecraft or Among Us with your friends. At the ARC, we celebrate and support independence of every kind and empower individuals and families to achieve the independence they choose. At the heart of it all, it's your life, it's your journey, and it's your choice. And speaking of journeys, we've talked a lot about them today. And I wanted to share a bit about the journey the ARC's been on. Throughout this organization's incredible 60-year history, we've recognized that we are a part of a movement, and movements move. The environment around us changes, due in no small part to our own actions, and we must continue to change too. We were started in 1961 by an incredible, dedicated group of volunteers who wanted to see their children grow up in a world that accepted them. They fought through people's inability to see value in their children and won their right to go to school. And later, they continued their work to ensure that their children's education was appropriate and then ultimately meaningful. They fought to close the doors of large-scale institutions where people were warehoused and worked to create a system of services that would provide people with supports to live in their own communities. They fought to open up public transportation where none was available. It took decades to get where we are today, and we are so grateful for all who came before us. As many, many people have said, we stand on their very strong shoulders. And now progress is in our hands. You already know that we envision a world where everyone is valued and respected, and we work toward making that a reality every day. But to truly achieve that vision, our journey is taking another turn. During the worst of COVID, we spent countless hours trying to walk in the shoes of the people who come to the ARC for support, and learning how we could create experiences that could markedly change their lives, while at the same time change the community in which we live. To bring our vision to life, the ARC is focusing on these 4 areas: empowering families, supporting self-advocacy, changing community perceptions, and expanding community access. Through the Murrow story, you saw the impact that the ARC has when we truly empower families. Wayla gained the skills and confidence to be her daughter's best advocate, and consequently, Cinda is able to thrive. In Hope's case, supporting self-advocacy was key. She began to believe in herself when someone else believed in her, and that gave her the courage to stand up for what she knew was right, her ability to have control over her own life. The street team showed us one way of changing perceptions, and we're growing our outreach program to include people of all ages, including recent activities with children through 4-H. Expanding community access sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's more than making obvious necessary physical changes like curb cuts and parking spaces. The community becomes more accessible through our engagement with city council members, business owners, teachers, doctors, and countless others. All 4 of the areas I mentioned are inextricably linked. For example, the ARC is proud to be working with our community partners at the Lakewood Police Department to ensure that agents have all of the information and tools they need to successfully interact with people with IDD, whether someone is a possible victim or a suspect. When you look at the outcomes of the training the ARC regularly delivers to the crisis intervention team, we can see that we have actually changed agents' perceptions of people with IDD. We also know that the positive impact ripples throughout the community, making law enforcement itself more accessible and able to serve people with disabilities in the best possible way. And finally, when we share this important work with the people served by the ARC, we empower them, the individuals and families we serve to safely seek help for themselves or others. It's all connected. We're all connected. And together we make this community a better place for everyone to call home. Where will this journey take the ARC in the future? Right now, we're exploring the answers to some intriguing questions. How can we help children learn to become effective self-advocates? How can we leverage new technology to enable full community participation? How can we help families plan for the future of the people they love? How can we become such an integrated part of our community that whatever is built here is created with the people with IDD in mind at the outset? Each answer that emerges from our work will keep the movement moving and create new opportunities for independence. If you've been with us for the entirety of this program, I know that in your day-to-day life, you share and exemplify the values of community, equity, and self-determination. Whether this is your first Summit of Hope, or you remember past years in the ballroom, whether you're someone with a disability, or a friend, or a family member, one of our professional partners, or one of our many other community allies, each of you is here because you're on a journey with us. We need you as a partner in making this vision of our community a reality. Show your commitment by making a donation right now. Your giving makes a tremendous difference in what the ARC can accomplish. Many of you already know this, but for those who don't, the ARC does not receive any government funding for its programs. The needs in our community only keep growing, and we must continue to innovate to keep the movement moving. The giving that happens today matters in real people's lives, people like Cinda, Wayla, Hope, and thousands of others. Their progress towards self-advocacy and independence has only been possible with the support of people like you. If this is work that you believe in and you know is important, what investment can you make today? Here's the bottom line. We need to raise $40,000 online and through our watch parties to keep moving toward all we plan to accomplish. We're already partway there thanks to some gifts made in advance, so I know we can meet this challenge. With all of us participating in Summit of Hope, there's going to be a range of donation amounts, and that's okay. We just need everyone watching to participate in any way they can. If you can make a one-time gift of $150 or $250, if you can give $25 a month, or even $10 a month, whatever the amount, if you make a donation right now that reflects our shared belief in the work the ARC does and the fact that it's transformative and important, we will reach our contribution goal. And together, we'll be helping people with disabilities reach their own unique destinations. Thank you so much for your generosity and for joining us today. While you're making your gift, I hope you enjoy this next segment of the ARC Street Team interviewing Belmar shoppers. Thank you again for being here.
Hi, my name is Kenny. What's your name?
My name's Joel.
Lots of people think that people with IDD receive all the services that they need for the government. What do you think about it?
No, they don't.
Lots of people with IDD and their families have been waiting a long time for services, sometimes for years.
Do you think it's a good thing to have high expectations of people with IDD?
I do. I think it is a good thing to have high expectations.
Yes, it is, because people of all abilities rise to meet those expectations and achieve more in life.
Tell me about some stereotypes with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities?
Well, some people might think that people with developmental disabilities can't live independently, or that maybe they can't really contribute to society very well. But of course, those are just stereotypes, and we know better.
People with IDD are protective members of society.
That's excellent, and they should be treated with respect and given opportunities to earn a living for themselves and to live independently if they're able to.
Yeah, I agree totally.